Song Revolution with John Chisholm.
Hey everybody, thanks for jumping on the Song Revolution this week. We are always glad that you're here. I think you're going to really enjoy this one. 20-year-old Centricity music artist Coby James is just like your kid brother. If your kid brother happens to shred guitar and have killer vocals and be signed to one of the most successful Nashville record labels. Coby is fresh, really youthful, of course, and we get to laugh a lot on this show, which is always a good sign to me. You're going to get to hear why Spider-Man is his favorite superhero, but why he identifies even more with Peter Parker. We talk about onstage out-of-body experiences and his musical influences like John Mayer, Stephen Curtis Chapman, and Ed Sheeran. I even asked Coby who he thought he would be without his superpower musicianship and vocals, and I just loved his answer. Coby is really outgoing and shares with me what the world looks like to a 20-year-old right now, his fears and the uncertainty that he faces in these crazy times. And yet his faith is strong despite all he and his generation faces. I don't want you to miss the acoustic version of his cover of Mary Mary's Shackles, such a classic at the end. And it's just amazing what this guy does with his guitar and voice, and I just know you don't want to miss that. I love this show and can't wait for you to meet my new friend and my new little brother, Centricity artist Coby James. Hey everybody, here with Coby James, this young man. He has turned 20, so, since the press releases have come out about his work, Centricity artist, special thanks to all our cool friends over at Centricity. Coby, welcome.
I'm so excited to be here, man. According to the internet, I'm 12 years old still, so people still think that.
Yeah, well, we're just not going to get into the age thing.
That's right. It's a touchy subject.
Well, yeah, we try to just say age is only a number until your hip goes out.
That's right, and then it's a real thing.
Then it's a real thing, yeah.
That's right.
Bone and Joint Institute becomes a reality.
That's just your age showing. That's all.
All right, so apart from your phenomenal guitar and vocal skills, dude, who are you really? Who's in there?
That is too kind, first of all. I don't deserve that. But man, I'm just a regular kid, man. Honestly. I think people kind of that in the music industry get thought of as like, oh, they've got to be like something different, something, unique. And I'm just a regular guy. And I love people. I love hanging out with friends. That's just kind of who I am. At the end of the day, it's just, your everyday kind of guy.
Right. Who happens to
sing and play guitar.
Shred vocally and on the guitar. Man, I've been steeping myself in your music
Oh, my goodness.
the last few days, and then especially today. And we're going to talk up some faves, but you just holed up in your bedroom and watched a bunch of John Mayer.
I did my studying of John Mayer for sure. I watched his album Live in LA. That one, Where the Light Is, was huge for me just growing up because I got introduced to him at a young age with like Room for Squares and Continuum.
Oh,
just
yeah.
always playing. Room
Classic.
for Squares, favorite album of all time, Continuum too. But the live album, it's funny, like different parts of the album mean different things to me in different phases. When I used to just be acoustic, I would listen to that first half and that was it. And I would listen to, just what he did with the guitar and I modeled kind of after that. And now that I'm doing more band-based stuff, which has been so much fun and just a unique experience, breath of fresh air for me, I've been listening to his band stuff, which has just been a new phase of John Mayer that I'm listening to and taking notes from. So
Yeah.
always learning.
Well, the cool thing, and like I said, I've been listening so much to your music the last few days, but the acoustic versions are just as good as the band versions to me. I mean, the ear candy's nice, but when it's all stripped back and it's just the raw vocal, and I don't know how much auto-tuning they have to do, but
all of it. We crank that up to 100.
Exactly, right? Yeah, that auto-tune, man, we love it.
We gotta love it.
Yeah.
You feel like your voice is like naked without it. It's like you listen to it, it's like, oh my goodness, every little flaw, you hear every little thing. It's so funny.
Every little,
Oh my goodness.
it's terrible.
Oh, it's so bad.
I know.
If you really want to embarrass like a friend, is just like record their voice and then turn all the plugins off. Just let them hear themselves.
It's like the old Linda McCartney,
Yeah.
audio
Yep,
that used
yep,
to
yep.
go around.
Oh
She was
my
like
God.
monotone. God bless her.
So,
Oh, yeah. So crazy. So, who is your superhero and why?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'd probably say, can I have two?
Okay. You
Okay.
can have
All right.
two.
My mom and my dad for sure. I couldn't pick one. I couldn't pick one.
Okay, well, I kind of meant Marvel. I mean, yeah, I
Like
mean,
you meant
yeah, I
of
mean,
life.
sure. I mean, your mom and dad can be a superhero.
They're
I mean,
they're my
like,
favorite life superheroes
okay, that's cool.
because
You can have two.
they raised me. But I'd say like my favorite Marvel superhero, goodness, probably Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always been my favorite. As a kid, I loved Spider-Man and Iron Man. They're right up there with me.
Okay, you picked two again, so tell me why.
I obviously have trouble making decisions.
You didn't want to commit.
I can't commit. I can't because there's so many people to love. No, Spider-Man is my favorite because I feel like I relate to him the most. He's just your everyday kid who also does like really cool things, and I get to go and do really cool stuff like play music on stage and do this like wild like journey, but also be like just a normal guy. And I think that's like a really cool thing, like
Mm.
getting like an opportunity to do something really awesome, but also just being a regular kid.
What's Peter Parker's weakness? I know Superman, it's
Yeah.
kryptonite, but what's Peter Parker's? I can't remember.
Is the people he loves because the villains use that against him, so he can't ever truly like be like a normal person. Like
Mm.
he's gotta keep Spider-Man and Peter separate. I just always was like super intrigued by that, like the fact that he couldn't love like a normal human could.
What do you feel like you have to keep parts of yourself separate?
I did for a little bit. I think you kind of relate to that a little bit. I mean, there's a level of like being a musician and being Coby James and like doing that, and I haven't had like much success at all, but you do feel that to some extent, like you are this person, but then my actual last name's Martin. So I feel like Kobe Martin's my Peter Parker, like I'm just the normal guy. But then I go on stage and you put on this hat and you're Kobe James and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, like I'm doing this thing and I love this thing, but it's just a crazy
Mm.
experience. It's so weird to like put into words, you know?
What is the most out of body kind of experience you've
Oh,
ever had on
man.
on stage?
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that.
That's so a thing. Like there was a time I remember it on the first tour I played. And I remember also going back and listening to those songs, and I was playing them like 15 BPM too fast. Like I was like a little
The
like
adrenaline.
I was like a
kicking
record
in.
like
Yeah.
spinning at full. It was bad. But near the end of the tour, probably like show 30, I remember playing the set, talking on stage, and when I'm talking, I'm always present. But when I was singing, it was like I wasn't singing. I was like, I could think about other things and I was like thinking about the audience and what was going on, but I was actually still singing and playing. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about what my fingers are doing right now because I just done it so many times.
Right.
I couldn't tell you what the next thing I'm supposed to sing or play is, but it's gonna just happen. And I was
That's
just like,
something.
it blows my mind that like our minds can do that, you know?
It's that muscle memory and
Yes.
just that peak performance training that helps athletes
Yeah.
do what they do because
Right.
they've visualized it for so long, they've done it for so long.
Yep.
And I remember times when I was leading worship a lot that I would like, how when you drive somewhere and you don't know how you drove there?
Oh my goodness,
It's that
yes.
same thing. I'd
Same.
get to the end of the song and it'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
It's the same exact thing. Like I'll start a song and then realize, oh, it's over. Like I've got to start talking to the audience again. I'm
Right?
like, how did that happen?
Yeah. And you're standing up there thinking about the people that are covering their ears.
Yeah,
or they're
literally.
dozing off.
Me and my guitarist will always, right before we go out, we always say like loose and colorful. And we go out and then we come back and we're like, did we just do that? Like, did that happen? It felt like a blur. Like it just it's there and then it's not, you know? And it's such a because you're like thinking about it all day and then you're done thinking about it.
Did you say loose and colorful?
Loose and colorful.
Oh man, tell me about that. I love that.
Well, that's what John and his trio band always said before they went out was loose and colorful. And so my roommate slash guitarist we actually bonded over his love for John Mayer, and we had the same kind of album that helped us want to get into music. So it was kind of always our thing that we would always say, like whenever we would go on stage together, we'd say loose and colorful
From Mayor.
from me. It's
I
a little
gotcha.
tribute. Little tribute.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. A little trivia.
Yeah,
A little tribute to the master.
that's right.
Oh man, slow
Slow dancing.
dancing in a burning room.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that solo.
Man, can you imagine somebody just coming into a co-write with that riff?
No,
Like,
no.
oh, look, we're gonna write this today. Oh my gosh. I'd be like,
Oh, my-
I'm sorry,
I know, right?
but
I've been in the presence of a few masters, and it makes you just not want to touch the instrument again.
Stephen Curtis
Oh, I
Chapman.
know, right?
He is the goat of CCM guitar.
You know, he really is.
He is.
Yeah.
He did it all really well, like the writing and the performance, but then also like really just cool like musicality. Like he was the biggest CCM influence for me.
And that clean boy next door thing.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yep.
so clean, just so wholesome.
It was
That's the
wholesome.
word, wholesome.
Very wholesome. And that was what was so cool about it. I think, yeah, that is so true. I never thought about that. But he was just such a good like influence in my music career. Just Speechless was huge for me.
Mhm.
Speechless. And then his first album, actually, I can't remember the name, it's losing it in my head, but it's like super like 80s, like 90s
Yeah.
kind of vibes. But it's one of my favorites.
Well, we kind of started here in Nashville around the same time.
Yeah.
And I went the songwriting publishing way.
Yeah.
He went the songwriting super mega Christian crazy,
Of course.
has a bus and a band
Right,
route.
right.
And I was always a little jealous, and so I would like when I would do my worship sets because I traveled and did some
Yeah.
stuff and recording, and I would like do my hair, kind of like him. And I'd say, "Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Curtis Chapman." And everybody would kind of laugh, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
inside, I'm thinking, crap,
I
man,
wish I was.
he's got a bus.
If only I was.
I know.
Oh, I get that. Oh, I so get that. That's awesome.
Then I had a green suit back in the day, and I would say, "Hi, everybody. I'm Larry the Cucumber."
It's perfect. That's perfect.
VeggieTales. I got a bigger laugh. So.
Oh, that definitely would have gotten a good laugh. I'm actually going to steal that bit now and use it on stage.
Yeah, you should. You should. But it was kind of an identity thing for me. So
Yeah.
I'm always curious, about people's sense of their own identity.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question, who are you really
Yeah.
apart from your skills? Like, let's just play a little game for a minute.
Let's play a game.
If we could take those skills away, your
Yeah.
voice,
Yeah.
what if you sounded kind of like this when you sang?
Talk like this.
And
Let's
then,
ask.
and then, you just didn't even know two chords.
Yeah.
Who would you be?
You know what? I've thought about this. Like I've had dreams about it, like an alternate life, like what that would look like. I think I would have gone to film school or been an animator and done something in like the animation field. I love like movies, and I really would have loved that because I actually used to paint growing up, oil paint and a charcoal draw, and
Sweet.
I loved it, and I could just see myself doing something like that. I think I would also just want to be a dad. I think honestly, my goal in life is to be a dad one day.
Yeah.
I say that because
It can happen.
I really it can't happen.
Just, watch out. It can happen.
Not right now. Not right now. But when that time comes, like I'm excited for that. Like I just the thought of it is so endearing to me to like
Yeah.
I don't know, I just love that because I had a great dad growing up. And so I would love to be a great dad as well one day.
I'm sure that you will be,
I'll try.
And the thing is, Medea said in was it Family Reunion?
Yeah.
I just watched that, and she was talking about how people need to renew their vows every 10 years because you become a different person. We grow new cells, we shed the old.
That's crazy.
You'll be a very different person even in 2, 3, 5 years than you are right now.
I feel like since I moved to Nashville, because I moved 2 years ago, actually the week of the pandemic. So when it hit, I was moving in, and I remember just being a completely different person. Like I've just changed so much the last 2 years, and I think it's been for the better, which is awesome. But it's just so incredible to see, like, especially like out of high school, like those college years, like what happens to you as a person. It just kind of blows my mind because you do change so much in these few years.
What does the world look like to a 20-year-old right now?
Chaotic. It looks so chaotic. It's hard to keep up with everything, honestly. Like the news and like what's going on in media, but also like it's just so much. There's so much. Politics, I don't even know how to like talk about politics.
Right.
There's just so much. And it's overwhelming, honestly, being a young person in this day and age. It's also kind of scary. Like I don't know where the world's going to be when I'm 30, when I'm 40, Because just like we're changing so quickly, I feel like the world's changing so quickly. And it's an interesting time. Thinking about finances and buying a house one day and how crazy prices are right now. And, it's just there's new worries that you don't worry about when you're a kid. I was visiting my family and I was with my dad, and there's this little kid like playing or whatever, like with his dad. We were like watching it, and I was talking to him, and my best friend was with me, my childhood best friend, and we were like, what was it like to be that? Like it was like a blink. Like we were just kids and we were playing video games and messing around and just and now we're here worried about real life things. And like how quickly that goes by. Like it's just crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and I'm old,
Yeah.
and I've watched a whole lot of life go by,
Yeah.
and our daughter's 29, and, that's crazy
Yeah.
because, it's a flash. It really is.
Yeah.
So it will be a flash for you, my friend,
Yeah.
as well. And, I'd say to you and to anybody listening, that God is present in every single
Mm,
decade, era,
that's right.
millennia. He's present in all of it, and that's where I go to get my comfort,
That's right.
in that. So what is your spiritual center?
Yeah.
Like, where do you, and I know you're gonna say God and
Yeah.
Jesus and all
Jesus, he's my
that, but
friend.
and he is,
He is.
but
It's yeah,
but how does that really play out in your life as much as you feel comfortable,
absolutely.
sharing it?
I'm an open book, man. Honestly, like the Lord has been such a center point in my life, and that's why honestly I'm doing Christian music and not like pop. It's honestly because when I'm like on stage and I'm talking, I talk a lot about life. Like I dealt with a lot of health issues growing up, and I've had a pretty just a thick backstory, and with that comes a lot of relying on God and faith and hope that there's going to be a better tomorrow, whether
Mhm.
it is or not.
Yeah.
And
So you've kind of lived it. Let's stop right there for just a
yeah,
moment because you've dealt with ADHD,
yeah,
you've dealt with Lyme's
yeah,
disease, and you had to have all these infusions
yeah.
and sit for hours.
That's right,
What was that all about, and how did you make it through that?
man.
Did you have your guitar
I had
and
my
you were
guitar and I
just
played the whole time.
yeah.
No, I wrote songs. I wish
Every hit that you hear on the radio
every
right
hit
now,
that
I wrote it.
I wrote while getting a transfusion. So, no, man, you know what? It's funny how the mind works. A lot of it's a blur now. A lot of it has been blocked out. And I've tried to like process through it with my mom just because she dealt with a ton of health issues during that too. And it's hard to even remember the order of which stuff happened
Mm.
because it just happened so quick. But I dealt with Lyme and did heavy antibiotic treatment for it because I had the word slipping long term. I had it since I was a child, so it had been in my system forever, just eating away at me. I had back problems at like 10. I was like
Oh,
complaining about
wow.
which is so weird, but man, I just hurt all the time and ached all the time and wanted to do normal things. And I'd go and hang out with friends and push myself, and then I'd crash for like 2 days.
Mm.
So everybody thought I was like normal, right? And because like, oh, that's Kobe, he's fine. But I'd get home and like I would sleep until 12, and like it was just rough. But the one thing that I fell in love with music during all that, and it was scary for my mom because I was so sick, and the thought of because she knew how determined I was, and like when I'm determined, like I'm gonna do it, and she knew that that's what I set my mind to. Like I wanted to be a musician and a Christian artist, and it terrified her because she thought about touring and she thought about moving away and my IVs and my meds and what am I going to do?
Right.
And, we ended up finding some things that really helped balance me and level me. And right before I ended up actually moving here, we found some stuff that really helped me stay stable, which was just so huge. And I feel 100% now. Like I'm able to be a normal kid. I go work out. I can go on a tour bus and be okay and not crash and be a boyfriend and be a friend and be, a son. And I think that's amazing. And it just is a testament to God's grace and mercy and life. And the funny thing is that I hate the saying everything is happening for a reason. Everything's gonna like he's gonna work it for good. Because there's some things, man, that like just feel like they're not good. And I think I wrote a song about it actually, but I'm also realizing in life he's the God of wait. And I think we don't talk about that enough. Talk about how God sometimes his answer is wait, not no, not yes, but wait and we'll see. And I think it's beautiful because you can have somebody that's got cancer and isn't going to make it. You could have a health condition that you feel like is never going to leave. And sometimes you have to live in that. You have to grieve. You have to feel those emotions, and it's terrible. But he works through that. It's maybe not always going to feel good. Like we say, he's going to turn it to good, but he's going to work. And so when I go on stage, and I talk, I can't just go fa la la. I can't just talk to an audience and be, just a random guy talking about music and a pop, whatever. That's why I chose CCM, is because, that's what I want to say and talk about, is what God's done in my life. And there's too much to talk about. I like to think of, like, you don't choose it. It's an overflow. It's an outpour. It comes out, and you have to talk about it because it's so prevalent in your life. I mean, it should be, And so that's kind of where the Christianity side of things came from in my music, and kind of how health played into all that,
Yeah. Did you have like a specific experience with Christ as a kid where you kind of knew from one second to another that something was different inside?
Yeah. It's funny. Growing up in the church is an interesting thing because you meet friends, like in this phase in life, I meet a lot of Christians that are new Christians or been Christians since they were 5 years old. And it's so interesting because you see the radical change in a 22-year-old when they accept Christ. They could be drinking and doing like things that aren't holy and what God wants in our lives. And there's a switch. They find out what makes them feel empty, and they find out what is making their life feel, like there's something missing. And you see this change. And I think that's like the cool part. But what's hard is being a Christian that grew up in the church, you always know about Jesus. Like when you're a child, you have a childlike faith. He is real. Like
He's
that,
there,
that's
yeah.
it. That's the thing. And it's almost more dangerous, I think, growing up in the church and just hearing about God your whole life, but not truly accepting that. I feel like we actually have a lot of that. A lot of kids that just know it, but don't believe it. And I feel like I honestly ended up accepting him. I accepted him young, but really understood it at like 15. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think when I started writing songs, it changed how I looked at life.
Mm.
I looked at life through a lens of he's the creator, and, we're the creation, and we're making art for him, and that really like put into perspective, like, wow, like this is so real and tangible, I think Christian music has brought me closer to him and still does, you know?
Wow. So you had all this rough patch where you were going through Lyme's and the ADHD thing.
Yeah.
Your mom was going through some stuff. Around 15, you kind of stumbled into this faith and the songwriting thing, but it seemed to take you a while to write something that was happy.
Yeah.
And so Golden is kind of
Yeah.
like your first
Yeah.
happy
You did do your research.
song. Of course I did.
I love it. Yeah, it was. Golden was my first happy song. I think I thought that you couldn't write happy songs without being cheesy, and I think that's super ignorant saying now. Like I said, I changed a lot, which is really cool, but Golden was a song that really helped me learn that, like, you can make fun, like, happy fun, like, make that cool, and now it's all I write. I actually struggle to write moody songs now, and I
No
think
kidding.
that's a season thing. Like, I think in different seasons of life when you're in a darker place, I think you do more of the songs about, like, God, I need you, Lord, like, I needed this, like, that's where that comes from. But when you're in a good place, in a good season of life, I feel like you just wanna you wanna shout from the rooftops, you wanna be joyful, you wanna be, and that's kinda where I'm at right now, and honestly, it's the most fun to write, and I don't wanna be a Debbie Downer. Like, I wanna be encouraging to people. I wanna make people wanna dance and sing, because 'cause I'm a happy person. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't really fit me. Actually, I have a producer I work with, and he calls it emo Coby. He's like, "This is like emo Coby, like the dark, weird stuff." He's like, "That's not you, man." And I'm like, "You're right, man. I like to be a light and a bright little spot in
Mhm.
people's day, so why not make the music that too, you know?"
It reminds me of a time. It's been years ago now, but our daughter, Allie, she got into a little phase where she was questioning me about my childhood and my teen years. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. And I started describing what my life was like back then. And she was quiet for a minute. And she said, "Oh my God, Dad, you were an emo goth."
That's
I never really got
awesome.
black fingernails,
What?
but I would have if I could have back in the
Oh, man. I love that.
Yeah, so you transitioned to writing happy songs, but you have this song that was very, very moving to me, called Happier.
Yeah.
And when I first was listening to it, I've listened to it 3 or 4 or 5 times now and very moved by it. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh crap. I mean, this guy's dad just like ditched him and, single mom. And, I'm thinking, this is so sad. And then, while I was reading, I realized
Yep.
it's about a whole different story.
Yeah.
Can you kind of share a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, it's funny. It's a song that I always like songs that Ed Sheeran does a lot of those where you hear the story and you can kind of put like, oh, maybe this is the dad and the mom, and
Mhm.
you leave it ambiguous enough to have a lot of people put themselves into that story.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've had a lot of people come up to me after shows and be like, my dad left, and it's we had a single mom, and this really, or a mom left, and it's so interesting how that song has touched people in different ways. But
Mm.
that song is a heavy song for sure. It was actually my second co-write in Nashville, or first co-write in Nashville, I think, which was just funny that I went that deep, like, in that session.
Yeah. Who'd
But
you write it with?
okay, so it was pre what he's doing now, but Scott Cash from We the Kingdom.
Okay.
So it was him and then David Spencer, who I did my first album with. But that song's about my granddad, actually. My dad did not have, a great experience with a father figure in his life. And my mom didn't either, actually. They both came from divorced homes. And I think that was something they bonded over, actually, and really helped them come into this parenthood thing with the perspective of like, we're not going to do that.
Mm.
Like, we're going to make sure that that's not what we allow for our kids. And they were such great parents. And, I feel like it can go either way, right? You can follow in your father's footsteps and you can do the same thing that he did and make the same mistakes, or you can learn from them. And it's really the only two options. And I'm just so blessed that my dad did the latter, and learned from them. But that song really just kind of dives into the family. And I actually wrote another version of that song a year before I wrote that one, called Family Tree. And that actually was where the idea came from, was I'd already written a song about it. And it wasn't what it needed to be, but I remember like actually doing this song, Happier, and showing like my whole family in the car. And it was tough. It was tough.
Oh man, it's very moving in the line, "You cut down your family tree." It's
Yeah.
like, crap, man, that is just like, it's a gut punch,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to I don't I remember it coming out and being like, should I have done that? Like, is
Mhm.
this too much?
Mhm.
Should I have said all this?
Like
Um,
a vulnerability hang,
it's
right?
very
Yeah.
vulnerable, and I was scared, but you know, seeing what the song's done, and I don't have the biggest listener base in the world, but you know what? Like, it's so cool to see who that's affected. And I've gotten some crazy emails just about kids like going through something where their parents are divorcing, and it's just, and I actually got to sing it live. It was my dad's birthday was April 13th, and I missed it. I didn't get to see him, but he came out on the road while I was on tour. So he came out on the road April like 15, 16. And so the first day of the show, I hadn't played the song live before. So that first show when he was there for his
Oh
birthday,
god.
I sang it live.
I bet he bawled.
It was crazy because I could
Jeez.
see him from the stage. I knew where he
Yeesh.
was, and I could see him like in the corner or whatever. And I just talked about how good of a dad he was and how,
Mm.
he didn't follow in his father's footsteps, but how amazing that is. And by the end, man, it was a tough one to get out. I didn't think I was gonna be able to finish it.
I can't imagine,
Yeah.
because it's a deep song just to listen to, but for that to be your experience, knowing it was your dad's experience and writing about that, and that last line, "I forgive you, does that make you happier?" Wha Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man.
It's a gut punch, but I don't know. I mean, I have estranged relationships, in the past, and I felt it.
Yeah.
It brings an emotion that's hard to get in songs
Yeah.
sometimes. And the songwriters that I'm working with all the time, the E word is just constant. It's like, how do you get emotion,
Yeah.
that doesn't come across corny, it's not
Yeah.
sappy,
Yep.
but it's real. And I think it starts with the real thing in your life, right?
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting thing. Like, vulnerability is the key to that. And you can be vulnerable, but I feel like sometimes people are fake vulnerable. Like, they want to be vulnerable, but they want to also make it commercial, or they want to make it, you know, not the full truth,
Yeah.
but part like, oh, I can't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Right. They're editing
They're
themselves.
and you can't edit yourself. It's not authentic.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. And some of my favorite artists, like JP Sachs is one of my favorite songwriters, and he does such a good job at just saying things how it is.
Mm.
And I've taken lots of notes from him as time's gone on. But like, just like even my song 3 Years Old, like just talking about my brother and just that relationship, like that is just being open and real about it all, and not trying to be clever, but just saying it, Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet song
No,
about your
thank you.
bro. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's what I love about all of your songs is it's deeper than authenticity. I guess that's cool, but it's like they smack of some reality.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
the up stuff, even
Yeah.
the fun stuff,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this guy feels this, it's real.
Yeah.
And even though there's a lot of ear candy and great production, the Mayer moments, the Sheeran moments,
Yeah.
you still shine through. And that's what I like about it. It's very listenable, and you might not have a great listener base yet,
Yeah.
but hang in there, bro,
Yeah.
because you've got something that's really cool. The skills are mad. And so as someone who's walked through 35 years of music business and ministry, and watching authors come and go and singers and songwriters come and go, what I wind up coaching people toward is their sense of mission and motivation.
Yeah.
And what people always come at me with is, well, I just want to use my gifts to glorify God. Well, you can do that at freaking Walmart.
Starbucks.
You can do that anywhere. And so my question to you is, what is, other than because you love God and you love Jesus, that's good. That's all good. But what's the real motivating thing? I mean, and it's okay.
For the music?
It's for what you do with your music. I mean, and it's okay if it's like to be self-expression. I give you that total permission. That's not selfish to me.
Yeah.
What I do here with Nashville Christian Songwriters is so much me. It's like, right? So what would you say is that deep intrinsic motivation? Or maybe let me ask it one other way. If you wanted your audience to get one thing from you, with all of it rolled in, all the songs, the production, etc., what would that one thing be?
Well, first of all, I love what you said about you could do it anywhere. Like you could glorify God wherever you are. Like whatever you do it all for the glory of God, right? I think my big thing is music has become a language to me. Like I love it. I can breathe it. I feel it so wrapped up in it sometimes. And I remember being 15 and sitting in my bedroom and just being lost in what artists could do with their songs. I would be in music whether I was a Christian or not. I know that for a fact. Christianity is why I'm in CCM. But I would do music no matter what because music is a part of me. Like there's people, you meet them in life. You meet artists or writers who you just know breathe it. That's them. They get it and they do something that nobody else, a normal person, could do. Like there's those artists and those writers, and I just feel like there's nothing else I could do with my life but make songs because they just come out. I hear words. I'm like, that's an idea. That's something. You can picture it. You can build it in your head. Like I go to sleep at night and I can just build a song and I'm like, this is what I want this to do.
No doubt.
I need to change this. Or my live show, I'm like, I need to play this on guitar. I'll play the guitar and write a solo for a show and be like playing it in my head when I'm falling to sleep. Like I need to fix this or I could do this. And it's just like the obsession, I think, is what it really is.
But what's the one thing you want your audience to get? Like what are they going to walk away with?
I think the one thing I want them to walk away with is how passionate I am about it, how much it means to me.
Yeah.
And how the songs aren't just to get on the radio and to make money or be famous or whatever. Like that's not what it's about. It's because I love it and it's all I know how to do. And so that's what I bring to them to share is this is all I have. I didn't finish high school. Like this is literally all I have. And so to be able to give them that means so much to me.
So it's your gift. You are literally bringing your gift to them. It's not that, it's not just about glorifying God, which we all want to do.
Of course it's about glorifying God.
Of course it is. But it really is about bringing this gift to them. It's a gift
Yeah.
to them.
It feels like that. And like when I wrote the song 3 years old, or I write a song like Happier or Homesick, like one that I know people will connect to. It's a universal feeling. I am ecstatic to go and play that over and over and over again to new crowds and I can see the reaction. I see that this connects and they feel this. And it may not be the #1 stream song, but it is a song that they leave thinking about. And that to me is the most important part.
Yeah.
Like just feeling like they felt that. Like we're all pretty similar as humans.
Yeah.
We're not that far apart.
Right?
And like I love the fact that we can all come together and feel one emotion at the same time.
And it kind of makes sense. We were talking before the show that you're an Enneagram 2.
Yeah.
And so there's a deep need to be loved for what you do. A 2 and a 3, right?
Yeah.
2 of the 3
2 and 3.
Yeah. So I'm a 4-3. So, I want to be loved too, but, but you probably have more of a drive for that.
Yeah.
And so that makes sense in connection with everything that you want to bring to people and why you've worked so hard to have a stellar gymnastic voice, man. You're Olympic vocalist and player. It's just no, seriously, no, unusually gifted and so pleasant. Even just the straight up acoustic stuff is really, really so cool. Wow, so
thank you.
As we land this plane today, I've got 2 more questions for you. Okay, maybe 3, but they're really short. Okay. So the first one is, I understand that you are the proud owner of a McDonald's gold card.
It's called an arch card.
No, I didn't. Yeah. Well, the arches are gold.
Arch is gold.
All right.
It doesn't have a real name. I just like to say it, call it the arch card.
So can I have a free Big Mac?
You can have as many free Big Macs as you want.
And so you have this because
my dad he's in the business of McDonald's, and it's pretty cool. We always grew up. It's kind of like, oh, cool. Like I get free. Like McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how much can you eat there? You know what I mean?
Kill your liver. Totally have a heart attack.
Like I could do that. But so it's kind of like having I'm trying to think of an example. Like, it's awesome.
And no better fries.
No, you can't beat them.
The planet.
You can't.
And they've got sugar and salt and fat
and grease.
Grease.
Oh, so much grease.
Yes. All right. So
that's the nectar.
Next to the last question. How do you like to interact with your listeners, your fans? What's the best way?
I'd say Instagram. I've been missing on the Instagram game a little bit recently, but I'm trying to make that the main spot for just kind of the community that brings,
Nice.
Yeah.
Final question, bro.
Okay.
It's gonna be a hard one.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
I've been trying to go deep here today.
Trying to stump me.
So let's pretend
for
a moment you're stranded on the moon and the air is so thin you can only have one song forever, like till you die, till the oxygen runs out and you go to even deeper heaven with Jesus.
Okay.
What would that song be?
It'd be Stop This Train by John Mayer.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it. That's my favorite song of all time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. That's the one.
Stop this train.
That song is like I have like a very few sacred songs, but that to me, I skip it on the album every time it comes. I don't want to listen to it too much. I save it for moments in life when something's changing and when it's like something big's happening. Like I know I'll listen to it when I'm getting married or engaged or a tour's happening or something goes #1 or that's when I'll listen to that song.
Right.
I always save it. It's a special one.
Stop This Train, John Mayer.
Absolutely.
Coby, man, what a treat today. This has been fun.
This has been a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wish you the best.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
In the corners of my mind, I just can't seem to find a reason to believe that I can break free. Cause you see, I have been down for so long, feel like all hope is gone. But as I lift my hands, I understand that I should lead you through my circumstance. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance, yeah. I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you, oh. You broke the chains, now I can lift my hands, yeah. And I'm gonna praise you, I'm gonna praise you. everything that could go wrong all went wrong at one time. So much pressure fell on me, I thought I was gonna lose my mind. But I know you wanna see if I will hold on to these trials. But I need you to lift this load, cause I can't take it no more, no. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance, yeah. I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you. You broke the chains, now I can't lift my hands. And I'm gonna praise you, yeah. I'm gonna praise you, nah, 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 nah. I've been through the fire and the rain, bound in every kind of way, but God has broken every chain, so let me go right now, no. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you. Oh, take the shackles off my feet so I can dance, yeah. Just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you. Nah, 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 nah. You broke the chains, now I can't lift my hands. And I'm gonna praise you, yeah, I'm gonna praise you. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Na 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 na. Yeah, yeah. Na 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 na.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the show today. I hope that you'll jump over to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com and check out all the resources there to encourage you in your own songwriting. And if you like what we're doing, why not share this episode out on your socials? You can find the link in the show notes. We'll see you next time.